This book has made me very, very sorrowful. Very, very sorrowful. I'm not angry. I'm filled with sorrow. First of all, let me tell you where I'm coming from. Because on this program, we talk about the cultural disparity between the global north and the global south. I have felt aghast at the levity or at times hostility of commentators in the global south about this book called Spare. It's almost as if our commentators were feeding off the commentary coming from the global north. Why do I say this? Let's go back. Let us start with the African culture. Basically, our African culture was polygamous. But let me use a broader term. If a wife has a baby in an atmosphere of hostility within the family, you know what? The elders will come and say to that woman, you better take your child and go back to your people. When that child grows up, he will know his father's house and you can bring him back. But for you to stay here, surrounded by these hostilities within the family, they'll kill that child and the woman will take her child and off. She will go back to her own people. It even happened to what's his name? This Zulu King, the most famous of the Zulu Kings, because the mother wasn't popular, and she wasn't the first wife. So she had to take, Chaka the Zulu. She has to take the child away and come back later. Now, what's this got to do with Harry? Harry is that child born into a hostile environment. And yet, I hear our culture say, well, why can't he stay within the farm and fight? He's a coward, he's run away. Why is he destroying the family? He's come under the control of Megan and so on. Where is the mother to protect this child, even if he had stayed within the family? You see, Spare is not Harry's story. Spare is the story of Diana told through Harry. Why do I say that? There are episodes from the day he was born which showed him, I would say, quote unquote, unwanted. Let me give you one example. He couldn't have had the conversation. I mean, he was just born. The mother must have told him that the day you were born, your father said to me, I am finished with you, Diana. You've given me a heir, Prince William, and now you have given me a spare, which is where that title comes from. And that is Harry. Harry is just supposed to be standby. You know, the footballer sitting on the bench in case something happens to William. You saw how Ronaldo has just reacted to being benched all the time. He said that Man U did not show him any respect, and he had no respect for Man U. He's gone, he's walked away. This boy was then 10 years old when his mother, quote unquote, was killed because he and his brother and the majority of people in the world believe that Diana was killed. Even Diana said she granted interviews saying the royal family is going to kill me. They will arrange a car accident for me. All of this going into the ears of a 10-year-old, and you are telling me that is a brat, is not showing sympathy for the family. Harry has been more sinned against than sinning. He had to run for his dear life. And he found in Meghan what he called the love of his life. I will call her the stability of his life. Because, you see, you could ask, why is William not behaving like Harry? William had been treated as the heir to the throne. Everything else be damned. The job of the palace was to prepare heirs to the throne. So whatever they need to do for William and to William, they did it. Harry be damned. They threw him under the bus for the press. Oh, he drinks, he uses drugs, he does this, he does that. Go and play with all that stories. He said they were leaking against him. And then he met Meghan. And that showed which we have discussed before. Remember that when we discussed that interview with Oprah Winfrey, it now showed the underbelly of racism in Britain. You get to get married to an American, that's a streak of Americanism in British press. Is going to marry a person of color. Is going to marry a divorcee. Wow. Never mind that practically all the children of Queen Elizabeth were divorcees. She was actually the only one who stood with the husband. They were all divorcees. And yet you are going to crucify Harry for marrying this woman who didn't fit. And there was nothing they did as a couple. Read the book that was acceptable to the palace establishment. Either the color of her lipstick was not the right one, it's rivaling Kate. The hairstyle is rivaling Kate, so she cannot do her hairstyle this way. She cannot wear this kind of dressing. Harry and Meghan went on a tour of South America, the West Indies. They were so well received. The crowd warmed towards them. They said they were upstaging William and Kate. Nothing that they could do that was right. And so Harry came to the conclusion that just as they killed his mother, they will kill his wife if he didn't get out. So I feel sorrow in my heart for Harry. I really, really do. And each time, I flip my electronic page, I am cringing as to what else would I come across. He's still a floating anchor. And the irony of all of this is that the only person who could provide that anchor for him in life is Meghan. But Meghan is an American. The American believe in telling it all. The highest number of paid psychiatrists in the world is in the United States. They think you cope with anger, you cope with whatever destabilizing you by telling it all. The British believe in stiff upper lip. And, so she's the one who could provide that anchor, but she also probably bought into the American style that when you tell it all, you stabilize. I don't believe in that. So really, I feel sorry. I feel sorrow for both Harry and Meghan. They were cut off, in any case, from royal funds. So they need to make money in order to survive. I remember reading a book where the Duke, King Edward the King Edward VIII, the one who abdicated, came to Queen Elizabeth, she became queen, to ask for his stipend to please be increased because he was living in exile in Paris, and it was refused. I suppose they didn't want to be put in that kind of a situation. So all these books that are coming out, all these interviews, they are getting paid. And only God knows the kind of agreement they are signed about how many more books will have to be written, just so that those millions that they need to educate their children, that they need to maintain their own lifestyle, start coming.